In the rivers of northern Mexico, there is a little fish that grows eyes as an embryo, then erases them before it ever opens them. Same species as the river tetra you can buy at a pet store. The only difference is that this one's ancestors swam into a cave and never came back. And the cavefish is just the entrance. The deeper you follow life underground, the stranger it gets, until you reach things that have not seen the sun in millions of years and stopped needing it a long time ago. Let's start at the doorway with that fish. Its name is Astyanax mexicanus, the Mexican tetra. Up in the sunlit rivers, it looks like any other silver minnow, with 2 working eyes and a coat of dark pigment. But some of them, generations ago, washed into the limestone caves of the Sierra de El Abra. Their descendants are still the same species. They can even breed with the surface fish. They just look like they came from another planet. The strangest part is how the eyes disappear. According to research published on the Mexican tetra in PMC, the cave embryo does start building eyes, the same way the river fish does. A lens forms. The early structure of a retina appears. And then the body stops, reverses course, and lets the lens die off, and the socket closes over with skin. The fish spends energy growing an eye specifically, so it can throw it away. Nature, building something just to unbuild it. Why bother dismantling a perfectly good eye? Because in total darkness, an eye is a liability. It is delicate, it costs energy to run, and it is a soft open door for infection. So the cavefish traded it. In return, it got more taste buds across its skin, a sharper sense of pressure changes in the water, and a body that can have starved for ages without complaint. It reads the cave by feeling it. The eyes were the down payment on a whole new way of being alive. This is the pattern we are going to follow all the way down. The deeper an animal lives, the more it sheds the things that belonged to the surface. Biologists have a word for the look it produces. Troglomorphy. Pale skin, lost eyes, long thin feelers, slow metabolism. Once you learn to spot it, you start seeing the same ghostly blueprint in animal after animal, even ones that are not remotely related. The cave keeps inventing the same creature. Now let's go past the entrance, into the deep water where the light never reaches at all. Down here lives the closest thing the real world has to a baby dragon. In the flooded caves under Slovenia and Croatia, there is a salamander called the olm, and the locals once believed it was the offspring of dragons washed up after heavy rain. The olm is blind, its eyes buried under skin. Its body is pale pink, almost human in color, with feathery red gills flaring off the sides of its head. It never grows up in the way most amphibians do. It keeps its larval body for its entire life, like a tadpole that simply refused to become a frog. And according to National Geographic, that life can stretch close to 100 years. Sit with that. A blind, soft-bodied salamander in cold black water can outlive almost every dog, cat, and horse you will ever meet, and very possibly outlive you. It does it by doing almost nothing. The olm can go years between meals. Royal Society research on the salamander describes an animal that barely moves, barely ages, and barely burns any energy at all. In a world with no food and no light, the winning strategy turned out to be a kind of beautiful, patient stillness. The olm just waits, century after century. And there's a detail that makes it feel almost mythical. If an olm loses a limb, it can regrow it. Cut off from the sun, cut off from time, it quietly rebuilds its own body in the dark. If you're enjoying this slow walk into the underworld, stick around. Because the deeper we go, the less these places look like anything on the surface at all. There's a niche on this channel for exactly this kind of hidden biology, and we are nowhere near the bottom yet. Because so far, every animal we've met still depends on the surface for one thing: food. The cavefish, the olm, they are waiting for scraps, for whatever the floods wash in from the world above. Their darkness is real, but they are still tied to the sun by a long, thin thread. Snip that thread, and you get something genuinely alien. In Romania, near the Black Sea, there is a cave that was sealed off from the outside world for roughly 5.5 million years. It is called Movile Cave, and according to Wikipedia's record of it, nobody found it until 1986, when workers testing ground for a power plant cut straight into it by accident. What they found inside should not exist. The air is thick and poisonous, low on oxygen, heavy with hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. There is no light. There has been no light for millions of years. And yet the cave is crawling with life. Movile holds dozens of animal species, and around 35 of them live nowhere else on Earth. Pale spiders, blind water scorpions, leeches, woodlice, all of them stranded in their own private world since before our species existed. Here is what makes Movile different from every cave we've talked about. Nothing here is waiting for sunlight scraps. The entire food web is built from the rock and the toxic air. At the base of it are microbes that eat chemicals, pulling energy out of the sulfur in the water instead of out of light. They form films and mats on the cave walls, and everything else eats them, or eats the things that ate them. A whole sealed ecosystem running on poison in the dark, with the sun completely removed from the equation. It is, in a small way, a rehearsal for life on other planets. If something can live off chemistry, alone in a sealed Romanian cave, then maybe something can live in the dark ocean under the ice of a distant moon. The same trick that built Movile could be building life in places we have not even reached yet. So we've gone from a fish that erases its own eyes, to a dragon that lives a century in the cold, to an entire sealed world running on poison. There is one place left to go. Down. As far down as anything with legs has ever been found. In the country of Georgia sits Krubera Cave, one of the deepest caves on the planet, plunging into the earth like a wound. And near the bottom of it, around 1,980 meters below the surface, researchers found a tiny animal that holds a record. According to Live Science, it is the deepest land animal ever discovered. Its name is Plutomurus ortobalaganensis. You will never see it without a microscope. It is a springtail, a flea-sized speck with no eyes and no color, drifting through cracks in the rock further from the sky than any insect-like creature we know of. It does not fly. It did not fall. Generation by generation, its ancestors crept deeper and deeper into the stone, until they ended up almost 2 kilometers down. In absolute blackness, in a place that has nothing to do with the world you and I live in. And that is the journey of the cave, compressed. At the entrance, a fish that looks almost normal, just missing its eyes. A little further in, a 100-year-old dragon in the dark. Deeper still, a poisoned world feeding itself on rock. And at the very bottom, a colorless speck that represents the furthest reach of complex life into the body of the planet. The strange part is that none of this is alien at all. The olm, the cavefish, the springtail, they share the same ancestors we do. They are made of the same stuff. They simply followed the dark, down a road we never took, and the road remade them. Step by step, light by lost light, the cave kept asking them the same question. How little do you actually need to stay alive? And these creatures answered, again and again, with less. Less light, less color, less hunger, less time spent doing anything but waiting. The surface feels like the whole world to us because we live on its skin. But under our feet, in water that has never seen a single sunrise, life has been quietly answering a different question for millions of years. And it is still down there right now, in the dark, getting stranger the deeper you go. If stories about the hidden corners of the animal world are your kind of thing, there are plenty more waiting for you on the channel.